Today's topic is be you. Be you. I feel that a lot is changing in youth football, in high school football, even at the college level, but more specifically for me at the youth and the high school level. I feel that everybody's trying to be somebody else, and the somebody else that they're trying to be is they're trying to be someone at the next level when they're not at that level. And I see it a lot at the high school level. Everybody wants to weigh a certain weight, be a certain height, have a certain speed, and that's great. We all want things, and we all hope to strive to be at a certain height and weight when you're an athlete. You want to grow, you want to gain strength if you can, you want to gain speed, but I feel that I don't really hear anybody talking about gaining knowledge. I'm seeing a lot now where people just want to be somewhere. Like they want to be on varsity. They want to be a freshman or be a sophomore and say that they're there versus playing. They'd rather be there and say they were there earlier than to actually stay on JV and actually play. I feel that now there's a lot more into training. Like if someone trains and they train and they train, but what team do you play for? I've actually seen that. Well, oh, yeah, so-and-so's not playing this year. They're not doing this. They're not doing that, but they're just training. And that's great, but that's not the game. And I feel that that's where we're moving to, and it's making some parents try to push their kids, and not the old school just pushing your kid, but they actually have good intentions, and the athlete, their young child is doing it because they're the parent. But I don't feel that some of you parents and or coaches know who the athletes that you're dealing with are. Not everybody is the same. For some kids, for some children, it works getting up at 5:30 in the morning, and they have that drive. I have a few friends that I know that they have a son that actually does that, and he has great grades, and he does a lot of charity work, but that's him. It fits him, so it works. I'm not saying that training and all this stuff is bad. I'm just saying know who your child is, know who your athlete is, and if you're an athlete listening, know who you are. There was a certain amount of sports for me. I was a 3-sport athlete when I was young, football, then I go to basketball, then I would do track. And as I continued to go up, there was just enough of each sport every season that I could have. Like I wanted a break from football. I wanted to move into basketball. It was just a totally different environment, totally different type of training. Then it was track season. And then at the end of track season, there's spring ball. But I was a track athlete. So, there was always a conflict there, but it was good for me to have those different seasons. Now we know that these sports are becoming more year-round, and we have more one-sport athletes, and that's fine. But again, I feel that some aren't having the right evaluation on who's listening, either who you are or who your child is. We could even take it to let's go ahead and take it to women. So I like a sexy woman, and that's sexy for Adrian Ross. Like on what I like, not anyone else's standard of sexy. Like for me, we could be at Roscoe Chicken and Waffles, and the way she's tearing the chicken apart and eating it with her fingers, that could be sexy to me, and that could be that woman, her fingers are sexy to me. Whatever it is, legs, toes, it could be whatever it is. It's like whatever on that individual person can be sexy. And I feel that what's most sexiest for me in a woman is a woman that is themselves. I'm not talking about the made up to be sexy part. I'm just talking about the everyday sexy. That could be sexy to me. And even in that environment, we have women, I'm talking about women, so I'll keep it there, that try to be somebody else. I have a friend that stays in Arizona, and down there's a plethora of women that have fake breasts, and they're brand new, and they're big, and they're stacked high up to their neck. And so when you look around, that's the majority of what you see. And I guess she, living in that environment, one day was like, I want to get fake boobs. And I'm thinking, like, I thought that everyone that's getting fake ones is trying to get her boobs. Like, they're trying to get to that standard. Not necessarily too big, not too small, but perfect for her body. And then she was like, oh, you really think so? And I was kind of like, well, I mean, I'm not trying to talk like that, but since you're asking, like, yeah, I would think that that's the ideal that the doctors would be trying to make for other women. And so, needless to say, like, she didn't get them, but I guess it was like knowledge to her that she never really knew that. And but she was looking at someone else's sexy versus her own. And dated a girl, ex-girlfriend of mine was an athlete, and she wanted to model. And it was kind of hard for me to say because she was in the wrong lane of modeling. It's like, yeah, you could be a model, but there's many different types of models. And if you're going to be in that business, you need to be in the lane that you need to be in on who you are. And so trying to be a Victoria's Secret model, there's not that many of those. Those are exotic. They're fairly tall and overly big boobs for their size, for their frame. Then they go down to a real small waist and everything just stays small. But even within that small size, they have enough hips to come out and curve. And therefore you have them advertising in bras and in bathing suits and swimsuits, whatever. But when you don't have any breasts and you're square and necessarily don't have any hips like that, that's not the model type lane that you should be in. And but you can be a model. You could be a model with clothes on, and you get in your face. You could be a hand model. You could be a foot model. There's many different types in that business. So that's why I just encourage you athletes and you parents and coaches out there. There's a lot of different types of athletes. Of being a certain level at it. Of course, you would hope that you fit the exotic standard, but trying to reach that exotic standard as success, that's pretty difficult, because that's you not necessarily being who you are. Nowadays, everybody wants to be on varsity and they just want to be there and not necessarily wanting to play. I think when I was brought up and before, it was about playing. It was about playing and getting reps. And that's what makes you better, is getting reps at something. I feel that a lot of parents make the mistake of sending their child to a school that is good in one particular sport that their son or daughter plays for, but they're not necessarily knowing the other things that are involved in their children's high school or their junior high or their middle school. Is the things that their child as a student will have to go through socially. Do you have the type of child that's going to be able to go through that? Does this said school have a great environment for who your child is? If you're the athlete, does that school fit who you are when you're not going to be at practice? Does the learning environment, is that conducive for you to be able to be a good student? I think that there's a lot of factors that are always involved, but to me, it's only always brought up as the sport. Does the coach know what they're doing? There's a lot of schools out there that are known traditionally to be good, but does that mean for the position that you're playing and what you want to do and what your plan is moving forward, is that the best fitting for your child? A lot of people, we all want to win, and especially at the high school level, I look back and I see it now, and I'm seeing we had successful teams at Elk Grove High School. But when I look at my junior year, I didn't even play that much. I started 2 games against Valley High, I think, and Christian Brothers. But I got to play on other things. I played, but I wasn't a starter except for those games, and we won the whole championship. But when I looked at the value for me, it was so valuable that year to go against the championship team in practice on the scout team. For me as a player, for who I was, getting all those reps was way more valuable than just starting. So being there on that team and, giving that offense a good look, I was a part of that team in that way. And I feel that we're doing our children a disservice by making them feel that everybody has to be the best and they have to be able to do this and they have to be able to do that, when there's a whole lot of different jobs. And that's how it's going to be in the real world is, there's a lot of people that they say don't get the job because they're overqualified. Same thing in sports. There's a lot of idiots. There's a lot of people that don't know what they're doing that are coaching. There's a lot of people that don't know what they're doing that are scouts. But they're a part of that equation, and you have to understand that and know that. And that's why I feel that knowing who you are, I think you'll get the best value out of it. It's just like being on the highway. There's a lot of lanes. There's a lot of different kind of cars on the highway. But you don't see a lot of exotic cars out there. But you'll see, just depending on the area, if you're in Texas, you're going to see a lot of trucks. In different regions, there's an actual use of it. It's just not cosmetic. And it's the same thing in sports. That's why I think it's very important to know who you are and where you want to fit in at. Everybody wants to be a Ferrari, but like I said, there's trucks, there's Benzes, there's Chevys, and there's Hondas out there. And I think that the problem for nowadays is that these coaches are starting to make the parents and the athletes want to be like that, because I think there's a lot of non-skilled coaches that don't know what they're doing, but they have the title. And so the easiest thing for them is to put the best talented people out there, and it makes their job easy. I just, it's like me seeing some coaches up in the past where, oh, we don't have this. Oh, we don't have any DBs. We don't have a DBs. And I'm like, if you don't have any DBs, why are you playing man-to-man and leaving them one-on-one all the time? That doesn't seem like you're coaching. But we want to blame the athletes because that's what we see the media do to the professional athletes at the highest level. Everything is a bashing on who's not good. Oh, so-and-so. It's like now we get to see all these memes made up of LeBron James. And they're funny, and it's at that level, and it's entertainment. But we're starting now to do this at the youth level, at the high school level. It's just, blaming people, blaming children because they don't have this certain skill set, when I thought at that level, it's just kind of who comes onto the team, and you have to deal with what you have to deal with. Yeah, of course, things are going to go great when that athlete is great, but not everybody's going to be the exotic car. I think we're starting to hone in more instead of being who you are. You if you're not the Bentley, don't try to be the Bentley. Just be the Chevy. Just be the Ford. Just be the Honda. Just be the Benz. Just be the BMW. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that's what plays out there. There's a whole lot of different cars on the highway. There's a whole lot of different types of vehicles per se that are in sports. Let's go ahead and look at the draft. The draft is what it is. Here's some players right here. You guys remember Javid Best, the running back out of Cal? He was your exotic type. Very, very fast running back. But there's a price to pay for being that. He took a lot of hits in college. He had a lot of concussions. C.J. Spiller, another speed burner, right? Speed burner. Where's he at? Have you guys seen C.J. Spiller? But all the predication on when we watch the combine and who's the fastest and who runs this 40, and we're all being fascinated with that. And that's always being publicized. And I'm just coming to say, cool, those guys are who they are, and it's great. They got there. They were top picks. Here's some more top picks for you. DeMarcus Van Dyke, the old cornerback that was that the Raiders drafted. The Raiders also drafted Jacoby Ford. Dree Archer went to the Steelers. These guys ran 4.28 40s at the combine. Have you heard anything about those guys getting any big deals? Or I don't even know if Van Dyke's in the league. I know the Raiders cut him like year 2, I think. Jacoby Ford, we don't see him on the Raiders anymore. Dree Archer, now very productive players in college. They were who they were. They were speed guys. They came in and did what they could do, 4.28. That got them there. Cool. It got them there. For how long? I don't know. I haven't looked up anything more than them. I just know those are some fast guys. But I do know some other guys that are top guys up in the league now, or have been with Revis. He's not as much so last year, but Richard Sherman, Darrelle Revis, and Josh Norman. We see Van Dyke ran the 4.28. The other 3 guys I had named didn't run those type of 40s. But at some point, they've been in an argument of the best defensive back in the NFL. So I'm just trying to give you examples of how the media, they'll hype up things with these 40s, and they'll make everybody think that they have to look like this and do that. Well, those guys are the elite. That's the exoticness of it. They're the exotic, sexy standard of what things have been now and what these scouts and what these teams say they want, because they've seen it in some other guys that are fast, like your Randy Mosses that can run that, or like your Deion Sanders. So now we've got some coaches or some scouts that have seen that. So every time someone hits that mark, something goes off in their brain as if, well, because they have that means that they're going to be like this. Well, no, maybe they can't catch. Maybe they don't have hips. Maybe they can't remember the plays. So there's a lot more that goes into it, and we see it, but since it's not talked about and publicized a lot, I think that a lot of the youth and a lot of these parents are trying to get to these standards of, my son weighs this and he's in high school. Like, well, I mean, that's great because you're telling me a physical description, but I've seen a lot of big guys in my day that couldn't play. So just telling me alone about the size, and then where do they play at? Oh, not playing right now. But I don't get the overly hyping about that. I know who I was. I was a technician textbook guy. I'm going to do it how the coach says to do it technique-wise, because I wasn't athletic enough. I didn't have over athleticism to be able to do it the wrong way and get away with it. Like there's a lot of other players like that. So I had to do it the textbook way. If I'm outside and they say don't get reached and get upfield and get your hands out and lock out, I had to do it that way. I couldn't watch and rely on my speed to get me out of a bad situation. I couldn't get in a bad situation or it was over. I had to keep it a good situation, but I understood that. When my coaches moved me to defensive end in college, I was a linebacker. So what they wanted was get down in your stance right now and just get down. And I couldn't do that because I was a linebacker. So I had to look and see and say, okay, well, it's trips left. And, okay, it's 3rd and 6. Okay, now I'm looking at the lineman stance. I'm just looking at a whole lot of other things because that's who I was. I was a linebacker, even though now my title was a defensive end. That was me. And then you had, like, my boy Joey Porter. Joey was so athletic and so fast, he could use the wrong technique and still make the play. Because he had enough speed, he had crazy super speed to where he could go the wrong way, and he's still going to run the guy down from the backside. So he could just do whatever he wants out there because he's athletic, and that's how he played, and that's why he was productive. He was also able to go to a system that utilized that. They knew who he was. Speaking on him at Pittsburgh in the 3-4 with Dick LeBeau, when I got to Pittsburgh, I was, looking. Now I'm internally versus looking at them from the opponent's side when I was at Cincinnati. And I remember sitting in practice, and I'm looking at this guy just move, and I'm like, man, I've never seen no one really that like move like that. And I'm looking at this number 43, and I asked Joey, and I'm like, how fast is Polamalu, man? And he's like, oh, he's like 4.3. And I could tell because it just, he looked like an exotic car out there compared to everybody else. But my point to just saying that is there, those guys, there's not a lot of those. So depending on who you are, don't make that be the standard because you're going to fall short if that's not you. You know, which he was fast and he was skilled and he knew what he was doing and he had heart. There was a lot of other things that he had on him that made him the player that he was. Just like in other jobs, you know, I just want to make sure that I'm talking about this in the sense of a job. It's in the corporate world. There's a lot of businesses that require a lot of different people with a lot of different skill sets. It's the same thing in sports. Not everybody has to be the same entity. And it's fine if you don't have this speed. It's fine if you don't have this strength, if you have something else. You know, so there's always these exceptions to the rules, but you can't help it when it comes down to being who you are and being whatever it is when you're playing a sport. You know, it's physical activity, physical and mental activity. And you can't help but to be as strong as you are, as quick as you are, how fast you are, as flexible as you are, whatever it is. Just like on another job, if you don't know how to type, how are you going to get how can you get the job that requires you to type? You know, it's just not going to happen. So the NFL draft, the draft plays people off of their potential. That doesn't necessarily mean where they're drafted at, because remember, there's idiot scouts and there's idiot coaches that don't know what they're doing, or they're trying to only get that exotic car, and they'd rather go get the exotic car because of the numbers that they've seen on paper versus the film and the activity that they're seeing, or the smarts, or the strength, or the leadership qualities. You know, and those are a lot of things that I feel are being devalued when we look at teams and specifically when we look at athletes, especially in certain positions. We're being a society now where everything is cosmetic. You know, we're the mental part of things, that someone can be so mentally strong that's the best attribute, but they can't measure that at the combine. You know, like there is no number that you can get the stopwatch and look at and measure that. You know, they have this Wonderlic test, but then you see other guys that don't score well on it that get drafted high. But we do see businesses and organizations like the New England Patriots, and it seems that whatever it is that they have going on over there, they're able to get quality guys, quality production from guys that weren't necessarily these exotic picks. They're acquiring them through free agency. They're acquiring them other ways. They're drafting them. They're trading picks and doing different things to getting the guy that they want to fit their system and their team. Not the guy that fits these standards that we're going to try to make fit. And that's what a lot of people are doing. Here's a top pick right here. Jadeveon Clowney, top pick, came out of South Carolina. They were just, you know, using all the words freakish numbers and his height and his weight and what he runs. You know, he runs like he's as big as a D lineman, but he runs like a linebacker. So put him in that 3-4 and stand him up and have him play linebacker. But he's not a linebacker. So he wasn't as productive. He wasn't necessarily either healthy. And again, that's generally the problem that you see with the exotics is, you know, there's a price to pay. There's a price to pay for being that. I was a car guy and I had a Ferrari. I had a lot of cars, and I remember getting the Ferrari, and when I went to go this is young, dumb stuff. This is stuff. That's why I'm giving it to you guys. I wanted it, and I got it. You know, my boy Corey Dillon had one. I liked it. I'm like, man, I'm going to go get one of those. You know, I'm a single guy, whatnot. Got the Ferrari. Went to go. See, I didn't check up on stuff. Went to go get that insurance. Man, I looked at that. I said, what for the price of insurance? And I was like, okay, yeah, I don't make that much money. So I'm going to have to go ahead and get rid of this because I'm not paying that insurance for whatever it is, a 24 or 25-year-old having a vehicle like that. No, those rates were sky high. So needless to say, I got rid of that real quick. But that was me not being me. Like, I wasn't in that bracket. Like, that's not who I was. I was, which is funny because my favorite car is the Chevy Impala SS. That's my favorite car of all time. I loved it. It was big, had a nice color, but it was, you know, basically had like a Corvette engine in there, and I did everything else to it. It was pretty much just fast. I know I drove it like 155 miles an hour, which is, where can you drive that at anyway? I shouldn't have been doing that. But I'm just saying that car was very fast and it had 4 doors, you know, and that was on the highway just like all the other cars and trucks and SUVs and motorcycles. But that was more me. That was me. That was who I was. That was what I liked. That was me being in my lane and being who I was, being who I am. Clowney. Yeah, they tried to put him at outside linebacker and he wasn't that productive. Last year, you saw he was at defensive end, and you see the Houston Texans without J.J. Watt had the #1 defense. And you saw how well Clowney played. But they were trying to criticize him at first. And again, like I said, the athletes are always the one that are getting the criticism. And it's funny, in that situation for me, I'd said it from the jump. His numbers, so what that his numbers are like a linebacker or someone he's so fast. That doesn't mean that you can fit him into a box of other guys that have those numbers. That's not who Jadeveon Clowney was. He was a DN in college. So he wasn't as comfortable learning or being and playing in that outside linebacker position. It's a position that I played. And why I was able to transition to playing it in college is because I was a linebacker in college playing defensive end. So the transition for me was a smooth one because it wasn't really a transition. I was being transformed back into who I really was. And that's playing linebacker, even though I was a productive defensive end in college. But that's not who I was. I didn't necessarily want to rush the passer. I want to tackle people. And that's why I was an effective tackler when I played in the pros. There's some real nice uniforms that are shiny and bright, and, you know, they have these exotic helmets. Like, anytime you see those words exotic and stuff like that, you know, don't be blinded by those. Those are all great and everything, but I encourage you guys to choose the program that fits you and who's going to let you be you. Who's going to let you play into something that fits you. Who's going to have you be around the environment that's going to let you be you. Go to that school. Go to that program. You know, look into everything. Parents, start to know who your child is, and not know who you were, or what so and so that plays good that went there also. You know, you can't put something that was good necessarily for someone else and apply that to someone else. It might work sometimes, it might not. But know who your child is. If you're actually the athlete, know who you are and go to where fits you best. There's different titles and there's different jobs within the same business. And sports is one of them. I mean, you know, some guys are going to be done at high school. Some guys sports careers will be over in college. Some will get to go on and play professional, whether it's in the U.S., whether it's in Canada, whether it's overseas. It's still pro, just like how they say these other jobs are. And same thing, you're going to have the same thing in other jobs. You know, go to the place that fits you. Go apply for the job that fits who you are, that's going to let you be who you are. And that's it for today's show. Again, you guys can find me on IG at Adrian Ross _ Backer with 2 D's. YouTube channel Mad Backer, MADDBACKER, and that's my Twitter. You can find me right here. Facebook, just my name, Adrian Ross, and I have a fan page as well. That's the one you guys got to go to because it's going to fill up soon. On the other one, it only lets you have 5,000. But go to those pages. Check out the Mad Backer game page as well. And again, leave your comments, leave your criticism, all that. Leave those in the comment section below, and I'll try to answer questions you have. And we'll see if we go from there. All right. Have fun being you.